Ladies and gentlemen, it's currently Thursday, December 8th, 2022, and Hans Niemann is the most popular chess player on Earth right now. For obviously good or bad reasons, depending on your side of the entire chess drama. Yes, he's more popular than Magnus Carlsen. Trust me, I would know. I follow the algorithm and YouTube analytics basically every day. Now, Hans Niemann is currently playing a tournament in Spain called El Llobregat. Actually, he's not playing it. It ended today. There is a man who defeated Hans Niemann, and I'm actually going to show you not just that game in this video, but this entire video is going to be a spotlight on a new chess talent emerging out of Singapore. And I am talking about Ting Jing Yao. This dude is for real. This is a 20-year-old grandmaster that hasn't played a negative tournament, like in terms of rating points, in like 3 years. He's lost 3 rating points in the last like 3 or 4 years. It's completely nuts. So first things first, let's go through this game that they played, and then I'm going to show you 2 other games. I'm going to show you 2 other games that Ting Jing Yao played against 2,700 level players at this very event. Ting Jing Yao tied for first place, despite being like the 30th highest rated player in the event starting it out. So amazing stuff. In this game, Hans began with the English opening, c4. We have c6, and now a transposition back to a Slav defense after knight f3, knight f6, and e3. So now we have bishop f5. e3 is an invitation to play the slow Slav. So white is trying to play knight c3, maybe bishop d3. There's also a very, very sharp line here with knight h4. This is a very common idea that's not really slow at all. And Hans, in fact, goes for this ultra uber duber sharp variation with the move knight h4. Now, black plays the move bishop e4. The point here is to induce white to chase down the bishop like this. You say, Levy, I don't understand. Why does he not just take? He doesn't take because after this knight is sort of marooned, if you will, stranded on the edge of the board, and potentially going to be trapped with the move g5. So instead of that, white goes here, black goes back to g6, and now white will delay the capture on g6 because it's like an uber sophisticated method of playing the game of chess. And so first you do this, which attacks the pawn on b7. Black defends it, white develops, and white is basically like, yeah, your bishop can't actually go anywhere, so I'm just going to wait a little bit and then take your bishop. First, I will take on d5, and then after you take back, now we have this finally, but you'll notice that this pawn is under some very severe pressure, which white promptly ignores, completely ignoring the pawn on h2. Why? Because it can't actually be taken. If black plays the move rook takes h2 in this position, white plays rook h2, queen h2, and, well, actually, first you take on d5. It's even better. Then the pawn on b7 perishes, and so does the rook in the corner, and so does Ting Jing Yao. He will not survive this position. He is a very good player, but he will not beat another grandmaster down a rook. He's not going to do that. So instead of that, we have knight takes c3, bishop c3. Very, very dynamic game thus far from the opening. Black plays the move a5, lashing out. It's not very clear which way black is going to castle. He might go this way, but then Hans is going to very quickly rev up the engine and go for a big attack. I got news for you. I don't think Ting Jing Yao is going to castle long. I also got news for you. I know which way he's going to castle or not at all because I've seen this game. Isn't that crazy? How unfair of me. So, a3, Hans, just a preparatory move, just making sure that black can get in with a4, but not a3. If the black pawn got to a3, it would have been quite unpleasant. So instead of that, we have the move b5. I mean, my dude is just throwing punches. He's just going straight at him. All right? Hans retreats, getting out of the way of b4, looking to potentially expand in the center. This, and black's position looks really good. I mean, I gotta tell you, so far, after 16 moves of action, black is very happy, despite barely moving any pieces. He hasn't moved his king, he hasn't moved either rook, and he hasn't moved the knight. Like, think about that. Look how goofy this position. Chess is so weird. Like, Hans, you know, developed all his pieces, made some good trades, has more central pawns, castled his king, and black is better after 16 moves. Crazy. I don't know how that works, right? King b1, and now black castles. So black does indeed castle, completely disregarding this. Just completely unafraid. I gotta tell you, visually speaking, this looks horrifying for black, does it not? Do you agree with me? Are you even paying attention? Look at the screen. What, do you have me on your smart TV while you do errands around the house? Yeah, you should feel bad, all right? You should feel bad. Pay attention. Look at this amazing game. I mean, I appreciate you anyway. Maybe you watch my videos while cooking. Maybe you watch my videos while coding. Maybe you're in class right now. Maybe you're not paying attention. You got a professor, blah, 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 300 people in the class, you know, but attendance is... I went to a school. I went to college here in New York City. And attendance was mandatory in classes of like 300 people. I mean, it was the stupidest thing ever. Just show up for the exam. It's like a 400-person lecture hall of statistics students. It's just so dumb. So dumb. But attendance is important. Show up to class, etc., blah, blah, blah. Have to be a good influence. Or else your parents will not allow you to watch my videos. Make sure to go to class. Unless attendance is not mandatory. Queen C2. And I mean, I got news for you. The gentleman with the black pieces, who is the feature of today's video, is striking Hans first. Not physically. That would get him probably kicked out of the tournament. Although, I don't know. I gotta tell you, I don't know. Like, what if you punched an opponent in the face? Do you think they would kick you out of the tournament? Like, if you punched, you know, someone who's being really annoying. I'm not saying do that. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Anyway, bishop takes a6. Hans gets rid of the knight. I mean, it just couldn't survive. If you took on b4, this knight was just going to very happily trot into the position. And this is not the same thing. This is definitely not the same thing. Very, very strong attack here brewing for black. Hans instead gets rid of the knight and then trades and continues his own attack. I mean, this is a very sharp game. Both guys just going straight at it. Both guys know that if they play a good game, I'll make a YouTube video about them. Bishop takes, and there's really no greater honor. I mean, grandmaster title, what, graduating with honors from university? Seriously, what? Getting into a Gotham video is up there. Rook takes d2, a3, black is in, a2, king a1, the pawn is stopped, the attack seemingly stopped, but black just can't stop himself just yet, then takes on h5, rook h5, and rook b8. Very sharp game, but now both guys got to make a transition to the endgame. Hans plays rook c5, we have a massive exchange of pieces, and this is seemingly a draw. White has 4 pawns. Black has, just for a very brief moment, 5, but 2 of them are on you know, death's row basically. One dies, and that's it. And now, very important move here by Hans. Rook c2, winning this, and this is defended. And you would think that, you know, just looking at this position, that the players would agree to a draw. Not quite. And the reason for that is king activity. Black's king has kind of an easy journey into the white position. Not the same. Not the same for the other guy. And I mean, here you can like cut off the king, but white would have to offer an exchange. So king g7, king b3, both kings run. And I mean, black's king's just more active, just posing some questions here to Hans and starts activating his pawns. Now, at this point, what Hans should have done is he should have taken and then played this move g3. And the point is that after something like rook f1, you're just not fast enough. I'm going to check you, and your king cannot cross the center line, so it's a draw. It's actually like a relatively straightforward draw. I can imagine here that Hans must have been a bit low on time and thought that he saw a forcing sequence, so he gave a check. But you do not want to allow this king to come to the party. That king is going to mess some stuff up. And after e takes f5, e takes f5, this is actually a losing endgame now because the king has crossed that center line. And there is an absolutely brutal idea here for Ting Jing Yao, and it's this. It's the fact that the king walks in, and look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. The pawn goes to g4. The king is cut off for white. This king is coming right here, no matter what. Rook takes f5, and Ting Jing Yao uses his final pawn as the anchor into the white position, and that is game over. The king is coming here. I'm getting this pawn. Your king is completely cut off from the edge of the board. I mean, from the center of the board. And that's it. I'm just going to promote. Black goes here. And rook comes back, pinning the pawn. You can attack me. And that's it. You just can't move. You can bring your king closer now. But I'm shouldering you away. And effortless technique. And Hans resigned in this position. That is a shocking turn of events. As the move here that was going to win the game for Hans is this, for Ting Jing Yao, was rook g4. Pawns do not capture backwards. Don't lie to yourself. You definitely thought that that was going to happen. Rook is shielded, and you're just too far. Just too far. You're 1 square short. Queen, almost, but so far. And this was one of Ting Jing Yao's finest games of the event. I'm going to show you 2 other ones that he played. Don't leave. Oh, okay, I saw the Hans game. I'm going to leave. What? Shame on you. okay? This dude has lost 3 rating points in 3 years. You lost that watching this video because your rating falls like the stock market. You don't even have to play a game, all right? Pay attention to a seriously good chess player, all right? By the way, when I roast your chess, I mean, just look at mine, all right? Failed grandmaster attempts, that's why I'm making content, all right? Seriously. It's like, why do people become middle school basketball coaches? Because they couldn't, you know, they were never good players in their day. Now, I'm not at that level, but anyway, roasting yourself and myself aside, one of Ting Jing Yao's games also from this event was a game against Francisco Vallejo Pons. This dude is 27-16. He's the #1 ranked Spanish chess player, okay? This game was an early capture on c4. It looks like Ting Jing Yao has a repertoire based on the Slav defense. He takes on c4, and we get a position that's quite comfortable from an early standpoint. White takes on c4, e4, rook d1, and now, basically, there's some holes in the black position. In the white position, I apologize. And he plays queen b6 and c5, and just starts kind of anchoring the dark squares. So this, strong bishop, another strong bishop. Very nice position for black. And by the 20th move of the game, our protagonist from Singapore, who has barely lost any rating points in the last 3 years, is almost completely winning against like a top 25 grandmaster in the world. That is insane, okay? And here he finds an amazing idea. Now, clearly, Ting Jing Yao is a subscriber to Gotham Chess on YouTube because he knows that sometimes when you are faced with a threat, you do not have to acknowledge it if you make one that is equal or exceeding in nature. And that is called very good danger levels. H6. Look at this amazing move. The point is that if this, then this, if this, then this, if this, then this, and white has a collapsing position. So h6 is very well timed, and by the way, if this, we're gonna have no horses, all right? No horses on the board. Queen takes b2, a queen trade, and black's just the pawn out. Black has 7 pawns, and white has 6, and this man is just straight up winning against Francisco Vallejo Pons. That is spectacular. Amazing. Incredible. Tremendous. e5. Bishop e6, rook goes out of the way. You cannot play bishop b3. That move looks good, but then I take your bishop and I get 2 for the price of 1, and that is not something that you would like to do. So bishop b4, and black is just going to hammer it away and try to win the game. Bishop to a6, bishop b3, white sacrifices in exchange, and you'll notice that he doesn't even do this. He doesn't actually think that there's enough to win here. He's right. It's actually just better to be up a pawn here than try to win in exchange. Black's position is good, but not good enough to win that one. Now we go to an endgame. And now we go to an endgame again, where black is just cleanly up a pawn. He's just trying to send this all the way down to its conclusion and get a nice win. And I gotta tell you, I mean, black has a great structure, but, you know, rook endgames are very tricky. Very, very tricky. And Vallejo does a very nice job here of using his h-pawn, giving it away. Just free pawn, but the weakening of the structure is really, really something here. You have rook b6 attacking this weakness. You have rook g2 and so on. And somehow the activity of white's rooks and good pawns, which restrict black's pawns, makes this endgame very, very difficult to win. And Ting Jing Yao was unable to win it, despite getting to a situation where he was just for a brief moment almost up 3 pawns. He could have taken a 3rd pawn there potentially. Instead, we have a rook trade. And this endgame is a draw. I mean, black's structure is just not good enough to win. And it went on. I mean, game certainly went on. Black had chances. I think even somewhere here, he could have put his rook on f5 and tried to push. And push he did for a long time. Unfortunately, though, this endgame is not winning. Now, with white, you're not going to play this move. You're not going to trade the rooks and go to a losing king and pawn endgame, but black is so passive here, and the rook cannot guard both pawns while also moving. Like, it has to stay still. It's impossible for that to happen, so we go to this endgame, and this is a draw because Well, the quality of black's pawn just ain't that good, all right? And I'm gonna keep clicking the forward button, and there's you can even move the pawn forward. It's just, it's never gonna happen. You're never gonna queen the pawn, and the players agree to a draw after 74 moves. You could make the argument that there was somewhere here that that black could have maybe played a little bit more accurately, but transitioning to this endgame was actually correct, except maybe taking on c5 here was better to do this, and then I guess rook f3. This was apparently the way forward for black, to then be as active as possible and play here and then double up. This would have been apparently the way that he could have maybe sealed the deal here against Vallejo, but listen, you can't hold that against him. That's probably the highest rated opponent. Nah, I was gonna say the highest rated opponent he's ever played, but he's played at the Olympiad a few times, so I'm not sure. But yeah, a very nice game by him. And another one. This time he has the white pieces against very strong Grandmaster Kirill Savchenko. This one was a Grunfeld defense turned into a Russian system. DC Queen C4. And this very odd and obscure way of playing by black with queen, knight, another knight over here. Black strikes at the center. This is all kind of normal stuff. Knight jumps into the middle here, and to the untrained eye, this just looks like a clean loss of a pawn for black. It is. It is clean. Converting the position is not so clean because in the Grunfeld, there's all sorts of like direct lines of assault at the center. So white in the Grunfeld oftentimes grabs the pawn and just hangs on for dear life. Like, have you ever been on a roller coaster and people are riding like this and like, yeah, like those people are psychopaths, okay? They are insane. Clinically, probably. Like, when I go on a roller coaster, back in the day, I discovered I had a fear of heights in the middle of a roller coaster ride when I was like 17. It was terrible. But prior to that, I loved roller coasters, and I would just hold on though. Like I wouldn't, like it's crazy. Like you feel that in your gut, like when you try. I'm holding on for dear life, but I'm still gonna enjoy myself. When you play the Grunfeld, it's that one. You just grab the pawn and hold on for dear life, and that's what he's doing. Queen c4. It's like another queen move. Look at this. Kirill is inviting him in for a second pawn. Not just a second pawn. The rook is hanging and the pawn is hanging. How many queen moves is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. White has played 14 moves and 6 of them have been with the queen. You think that's the last time the queen's gonna move. It's not. Look at the black position. Direct attack on the center. White plays e5. The pawns are going in with the queen. This is crazy. No castling for white. He's just hanging on. Knight g4, look at this, e6, oh my god. Ting Jing Yao is like, you want the pawns back, stupid? So come get them, come take the pawns. Oh, you want the pawns back, yeah? By the way, if you're confused why that's not a free knight, because pawn takes pawn is a check, and then black just opens up the position and gets to the white king. So instead of that, you do this. Why? Because the pawn is a temporary hindrance to the black position. The pawn is actually in the way. So you use this moment to kick out the knight and castle. Now, white gave back 1 pawn, but is still up 1 pawn. Black plays knight f7. I told you the queen was going to move again, this time to the complete opposite corner of the board. E d5, bishop f3. Now, visually, white's position looks quite nice. It ain't. I mean, it's a very sharp and very complicated and very messy position. Black plays d4. Do not take the rook. Just don't do it. Why? Because after this is still under attack, and you cannot go anywhere to the middle. So you would have to go here, which is very depressing. So instead of that, we have knight to e4, black plays rook c8, and white plays the bishop. So white started out 2 pawns up, proceeded to give 2 pawns back, and now we have a crazy position where 3 pawns are sort of stupidly standing around. White has this cluster of pieces. The knight is ready to jump into d6. Both rooks are getting in the game. There's one, there's the other. I told you they were ready. Now black plays a5. And white plays b4. He's like, Kirill, what are you doing? If you take on b4, you activate my queen, and I'm targeting both your pawns when my queen gets here. If you play this move, I anchor my knight on c5. That's also really unpleasant. And in all endgames, I'm telling you these 3 pawns are weak. So black plays here, here, and queen a6, but the knight's still coming in. You can trade rooks. That's great. You can trade rooks. Coming back. Told you, those pawns are liabilities. And what's worse is behind the pawn is your queen. That pawn is a liability because you cannot take me. Very nice technique here. Bishop c4, the knight drops back. Uh-oh. The bishop drops back. Black is running out of attacks. The bishop attacks the queen. The queen goes to a5. Pawn takes on a4. And in this position, knight takes c4 is a very nice move, but white plays here. And the pressure just continues on the queen side. Look at the queen infiltrating, darting around the board, darting around the board. Bishop d5 is a trade of a bishop, right? But unfortunately, what happens when you do this is you allow this. And I mean, Ting Jing Yao is so sharp. Like every single time his opponent just surrenders a tiny bit of space, he takes all of it. And queen a5 is an exchange offer. White goes here. I got news for you. You can't stop mate. Yep. You can't stop checkmate. This was one of Ting Jing Yao's best wins of the tournament. His highest rated being against Hans, rated 2,700. He also defeats Kirill Savchenko, draws Vallejo pawns, and he goes undefeated in 9 rounds, winning 7. I believe he lost the tiebreak to Tabatabai, the very strong Iranian grandmaster. But he gains 25 rating points, and he's now up to about 2580 FIDE. Like I said, this man has lost about 3 rating points over the last 3 years. So keep an eye out. Youngest grandmaster in the history of Singapore. Beat Hans Niemann, beat a couple of very good players, tied for first at the recently concluded El Llobregat Open. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Get out of here.